go. Oh.
The narcissist in me is happy about that. It's more closer to me. Let's just cut out Scott completely.
The problem is Petra thinks she's the big dog, but she's not. She's a small dog. She's a small dog in a big playhouse.
Listen, if I can be a dog in general, I'm happy.
That
Fine.
sounds a bit,
Huh?
That sounds a bit odd.
That's
If I
true.
can be a dog.
Never mind. Cut.
Mental health has been a journey in which a lot of people experience and very few talk about. And
It's getting better.
Yeah, it is. I feel like partly our generation, if it is sort of in between, whereas I think the generation after us is probably getting it spot on.
Yeah. Gen Z knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, they don't, but they at least try. So that's better than anyone.
I think, well, we're kind of like a mix, I think, our generation, because we have the parents that are just completely bottled up and shut off.
Not your mum.
From
Your mum is great.
Feelings. Yeah, she is actually. Sorry, Mum, if you're listening to this, apologise.
No, actually, it's a good thing. Sorry, Steve, if you're listening to this.
Yeah, if my dad's listening to this, he needs to stop bottling things up and just,
God, I should send this to my grandma. Thankfully, she doesn't speak English.
Steve, just let it out, all right?
Steve, just tell
a
the
hug.
world. Listen,
Yeah.
Steve, listen. If you need a hug, just let us know.
Just to give you guys a bit of a background about ourselves, me and Petra have both had our mental health issues in the past, and we're still, mental health I don't think can ever be conquered. I think it's an ongoing sort of journey, and so I can't exactly say me and Petra are sitting here like as if we're sort of experts.
Oh God,
because
no.
we're not. We're far from that. But what
We
wanna
need
try-
therapy.
Yeah, this is therapy.
This is therapy.
I think this could help a lot of people when they listen and go through experiences that they might be going through, and maybe if we're chatting about experiences that we've been through, and in a few episodes time we'll probably have guests on and we can learn from their experiences, and hopefully in general it'll just help people with their mental health, I suppose.
Yeah. And also, just putting it out there, not that anyone would be fooled, but just saying, we are not experts in any sense.
No.
So we do not know what we're talking about majority of the time. However, this is our experience, so just take our word for it. And if you don't like it, please don't leave. But
Please listen.
please keep listening. We might convert you. Okay, so listen, I have no idea where this journey is going to go. Just like my life, basically. So let's just, like a quick overview. I did not know that I had mental health issues until like maybe 2-3 years ago. Listen, I knew that I wasn't okay. Like I knew that. But I never thought that I would be a person to go to therapy. But I did, and it was great and life-changing, one would say. Let me just take it from like the end, the current state, and go back, because that's basically what happened. I never really realized as a kid that there were some issues in my life, but now as an adult and after therapy, it's just like all these things are coming up. In 2020 when COVID happened, I was put on furlough, so I was like, you know what, might as well take the time, go for therapy, which I did.
Which was a tough time for everyone.
Oh yeah, it was.
This pandemic.
It was.
So.
And I was actually lucky. Like, I know that this is such a, like, I shouldn't say this, but actually it changed my life for the better, the whole pandemic, which not a lot of people can say, so sorry about that. But, I had the time to go for therapy, and I had a really good therapist. I really liked her. And the thing is, I was really looking forward to therapy because I knew something was wrong and I knew I needed help. So I was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to go for therapy. I'm going to have like weekly sessions. It's going to be great. I'm going to be coming out of it smiling. But fuck no. No, it's not what happened. So I told basically I didn't know what the issue was. I just knew that I was crying all the time. When people gave me feedback, I just like broke down crying at work, and I was just like really struggling. So I went to therapy with, I need help because I cannot take on feedback. That was why I went. God knows that's not real.
To be fair, is quite brave in recognising.
Yeah.
You recognise that you had a problem.
Yeah.
And I think often that's quite the first step, really, to, it's not making yourself better, because it's not like an illness that anyone should shy away from.
Yeah.
But you recognised it and you went to see someone. You done something about it.
Yeah, I know.
So
I don't think I would have realized, but my whole life I've been told that I'm so tough, I'm so strong, and so my mom passed away, and for example, I did not react much. Did not have a grieving process. I did not break down. I was crying on the day, of course, because it's a shock. But I just didn't have this because I was just like, I have so much to do around all the arrangements, so I just didn't have time for these things. But what I was met with was everyone saying like, oh, you're so tough, you're so strong, we look up to you for being this strong in these situations. And I kind of thrived when I heard that. Like, I was just like, oh, this is great. Like, yeah, I'm a strong personality. So then when I started crying at work after feedback, I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, something is wrong. This is not me. I'm a tough person. I don't cry. And now I'm crying all the time. You would know.
Yeah, literally, she watched the end of Suits recently and started crying.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I have a good story about something like similar, but maybe on that later.
She's a tough guy on the outside, but in the inside she's very...
Softy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so this was a bit shocking to me, and I just couldn't put my finger on what the issue was. There were a lot of issues. Let me preface that. But yeah, therapy was not easy at all. It wasn't a good time once in a week, or like once a week. I had my therapy sessions on Friday morning, and I spent the rest of the morning, or maybe even a day, in bed crying, or just like really exhausted. Because we did... is it called CBT?
Yeah.
Yeah, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
And it brings up a lot of memories and everything, and it just triggered a lot of things. So that's why I started realizing, okay, I actually was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and it all made sense. And then I finished therapy, and I'm really, really good on my own now. And I think I can catch myself quite well, and I'm really reflective. But thanks to that, I kind of am realizing new stuff now, so I definitely want to go back to therapy again. And even though I can help myself on some things, those people, or like those of you who maybe went to therapy before, might know this, but basically I think therapy is good to just have someone to guide you, in a sense of like, when you have like a lot of topics where you know what the issue is, but it's so uncomfortable to think about it. It's not like you make yourself shut down, but it's just the thought of thinking about it, you're like, I don't want to talk about it, or I don't want to think about it, like it's just too much.
So you're kind of, you've got problems, but it's kind of like not procrastinating, but you don't want to deal with them head on. You want to sort of bury them and hope they go away, which a lot of people, I think, do.
Yeah, just push them down. Yeah, but it's also not just like me doing it on purpose, being like, oh, no, I don't want to talk about it because mental health. No, it's more like when I start having flashbacks from my childhood, which is quite problematic, or was quite problematic, the first kind of my reaction is just like, oh God, no, I don't have time to think about it now, or just like it's too much. So I just want someone to kind of force me to do it once a week and having to think about it, because it can be a lot. It can be a bit quite overwhelming doing it on your own. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, pushing down never helps. It's gonna come up anyway at some point, and it's gonna be even worse. So the more you push it down, Pandora's box, isn't it? Definitely anxious still, definitely depressed way too often. But yeah, I think compared to previously, I have way more kind of good days compared to a couple of years ago. So yeah, I do have some bad days, but I know what triggers them, and I can just keep it like, in check and do something about it.
I was gonna say, actually, one thing I noticed about you is you do when you do have an off day, you sort of analyse it after, which is good.
Yeah.
But you know what it is. You recognise your trigger points, which is quite tough, really. Because I mean, from my experience, I was kind of like, is it black and white thinking? Whereas that's such a sign of improvement from where you probably used to be.
Yeah, I do still have the rigidness.
So
yeah, I still do have the rigidness in a lot of ways, but I think it's just this reflectiveness.
Yeah, sorry, I was just laughing at your nose bars.
Oh,
So just for the listeners, Petra's, we're currently recording at Petra's, and she's got this really unique, is the best way to put it, vase in the shape of someone's nose.
look out for the picture on Instagram.
Yeah,
My boss one.
check our OK Listen Instagram page, and we'll post a picture of it.
He's not laughing at my nose, but he does that on occasion as well.
But yeah, anyway, back to what you were saying. Sorry.
I mean, I'm still really black and white and really rigid in a lot of ways. And unfortunately, because I learned to be that way, that's the only way that works for me in a lot of things. Like, for example, whether it is training, like if I set in my mind to doing this training like every day, if I miss one day, that to me feels like, oh, I'm done. I need to start again because I fucked up. You know what I mean? That one day. So it's a lot of black and white in that sense. But when something happens, you think about your thoughts. So you kind of try to be objective outside of this experience and be like, okay, so I was thinking this, why? And what exactly does it mean? I think it's really, really helpful to kind of dissociate yourself from the thought, because otherwise it can be really consuming. Yeah, so that's me. I mean, there's so much more to it. So much more, but I don't think we have the time.
barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, to say the least.
I'm probably quite similar in a lot of ways. Basically, I sort of had this thing in my mind. Like similar to Petra, my mental health journey is probably best to sort of start from what's happened recently. And there's nothing better to start or summarise my whole entire life than a Chelsea result.
Oh, God.
Which often used to set me off into a spiraling depression.
Okay, can I just jump in here for 1 second? Our second date, I asked him about Chelsea. He almost started crying in the pub, explaining how much it means to him. So that's just a segue.
To all you people out there listening, it wasn't just any game. It was the Champions League final in 2012, and I was explaining to her about being in that stadium, watching Drogba slot home, the penalty that won us the Champions League with my parents and my family, how emotional it was, and it was the best day of my life. And Petra, just started grilling me.
Listen, I'm still here, so waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Anyway, the reason why this is significant is because I am sort of person that used to have very high highs and very low lows, and there was no in between. Basically, my emotions were sort of all over the place, and I think when you play a lot of people that play a lot of sport, you'll know, especially if you're from a football background, there's a lot of toxic masculinity. And I think there was always this thing when I grew up anyway, whether it was in my own head or if it was in the environment that I was in terms of when you go and play football with your mates or whatever, it was this thing of you'd always had to pretend that emotions, and although I've always been an emotional person, showing vulnerability and all that was seen as a weakness.
Yeah.
And it would often be made fun of, and so you had to be a strong, your whole vibe.
Exterior.
Exterior is a good word to put it. And basically,
Excuse me, boys don't cry.
They do now. Guys, grab your teddy bear, give it a hug, and just let it out.
Just
right?
like girls don't fart, boys don't cry.
Right, we won't go there. I basically used to sort of try and bottle a lot of things up to the point where when you got to that age of where you could drink, it sort of, that was when it used to sort of come out. I'm not if you're listening, I'm not an alcoholic, as people that know me would know.
Questionable,
and Petra knows.
Debatable.
But yeah, it was a time to sort of let off steam. Just before COVID, that was when I started my journey with a counsellor. I was very, very low at that point in my life because there was a lot of things going on. That was just the tip of the iceberg. I think a lot of things before that had built up within me that needed addressing, and I did that classic male thing of not addressing any of them, trying to be like there's nothing wrong with me, I'm fine, it's just a bad day or whatever, when really I was actually depressed. And the worst thing that I've had, which explains a lot of my childhood growing up and into my early 20s, was anxiety. And that was actually, it all makes a lot more sense now with how I feel whether it be before I play football, before I do something that's out of my comfort zone. It doesn't help that I'm a perfectionist as well, where everything has to be, spot on. I have to be the best, or
Oh God.
it has to go perfectly. And when you do that, everything I put so much pressure on myself that it sucks the enjoyment out of a lot of things.
And you set yourself up to fail before you even start.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's just no way of you knowing what's going to happen, and there are so many factors
Yes.
that could actually, change the course of it that you set your mind to. I have a really good example, just quickly. Sorry if I jump in, but I was.
Okay, listen.
Okay, listen. Okay. Now I forgot my example. Thank you, Scott.
That was the whole point, because I'm tired of hearing Petra talk, so flapping her gums. No, go on.
Fair
What were you going to
enough.
say? Do you remember?
No.
Okay. Anyway, back
Mission
to,
accomplished.
back to my my speech, my inspirational chat.
Good vibes only.
But yeah, and that, like Petra said, that would also be a massive problem, which I still do to this time, is try and think what everyone else is thinking and sort of predict what's happening in the future, and I should just focus on the present, because you enjoy things more. And one of the things that anxiety and depression sort of took from me was the fact, well, it didn't take it from me because I didn't know how to deal with it. It was like a prime example I always use is how I stopped enjoying playing football. It got to that point where I was playing for the reserves at Dorking Wanderers, and sometimes I was 18 and I'd be on the bench, and anxiety would shackle me so much from not wanting to make a mistake that I'd often be like, please don't put me on.
Mm-hmm. Even
and
races.
It's really bad. And yeah, it still affects me now when I took up distance running later on in life. It started as a nice hobby when I did London Marathon. I really loved it. And then I joined my club Belgrave, and then for about the first year and a bit, I really enjoyed my running. The anxiety sort of took over because I enjoyed it so much. It was like, right, I want to get really good at this sport. Of course, when you put that much pressure and you get anxious, you go the opposite way. And then you start overthinking, like, why aren't I getting better? And you just put so much pressure on yourself that you look like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders.
Also, shout out Belgrave, please sponsor us.
Yeah, shout out to my homies at Belgrave Harriers, the OG running club.
But yeah, I remember not the last race, but the one before, the first one I went with you. Mm-hmm. So basically we went there and Scott was already shitting himself before the race. Like, we didn't even know what it's going to be like, and then you went for a warm up. Mm-hmm. And you come back and you're like, oh, I hate this, I'm so tired, I'm so bad. I was like, it was just a warm, like, you're fine, just calm down, it's okay. And you set yourself up a failure, because basically I don't know anything about running, because God knows if Petra doesn't run. But basically there were these like groups of people starting at the same time, right? So yes. the groups of people that wanted to run the same, or like in the same kind of amount of time, right? And you put yourself in one of the fourth group, I think it was. So it was like, what was it, like 5k run, I think?
Yeah, it was.
And you put yourself
I
in
put myself back with like 20 minutes.
More than 20, like 22 or something minutes.
Yeah, because I didn't think I could even run.
And then he ran in 18. And I was just like, you didn't even know what it's going to be like, but in your head, you already made it out to be the worst day ever.
Yeah, because I put so much pressure on myself that I was like, oh, I'm not even going to be able to finish. And in the end, I just ran it, for enjoyment after a pet talk.
Pet talk.
Which is,
by the way,
Go on, I'll let you explain.
Yeah, sorry, I mean, dictionary, please, can you add that in? Pet talk, Petra talk, like Petra and pet talk. You're gonna get a lot of those. And
she gave me one of those before, so I just ran out to run it, and I actually ran faster than, I think it was, I said 25 minutes.
Yeah, you were like,
which is really slow for me, and I thought I was just gonna, just to finish, I was aiming for.
Yeah, weren't you like the fourth one to finish or something?
Yeah, I think it was like fifth, but
something,
it wasn't, for me, it's still not my, anywhere near my fast.
Yeah. That's okay.
Fastest, but I finished, and afterwards I actually really remembered why I enjoyed running. Even though, like we said, it's nowhere near my PB or whatever, but the fact that I overcome that sort of thing where I just wanted to go home and, you know, pack it in, it was a little victory, I think. And as you'll find out over the next few episodes, I think as probably does Petra's, my sort of battle with mental health goes way back to even when I was probably a little kid. And I actually had a lot of anger issues, which probably led to my insecurities and, you know, my lack of self-belief, lack of confidence in myself.
Oh, you're just a Scorpio. It's fine. It's not anger issues. You're just Scorpio.
No,
Shout out
I
Clara
used
and all
to.
the other Scorpios.
Um,
Just angry people.
Yeah, my people.
We love you.
Represent every young boy probably wanting to be a footballer at some stage, or some sort of, maybe it was for you, it might have been dentist or a doctor or whatever, and for some reason in life where it was something changed, you couldn't do it anymore, you weren't good enough, whatever it was. I think once you don't reach a certain when you're a black and white thinker, when you don't reach a certain goal, it's always the end of the world. I never thought like I wanted to kill myself, but I had thoughts of what is the point of life, and why am I here when everything's just monotonous, you know, same every day, and nothing goes the way you want it. Like, you always hear people going on about, oh, you're in charge of your own destiny and all that, but sometimes no matter how hard you try at things, it just doesn't work for whatever reason, and so you become a bit down. I struggled with that massively. A lot of my thinking would be, you see Olympic athletes, once they've got their gold medal and they retire, a lot of them actually suffer with mental health because they have that what's next.
Yeah.
They don't have that sort of
Purpose in life
yeah,
anymore?
yeah, they don't have that, you know, their drive was to get that gold medal. They've got it, and now they're like, oh God, I can't run anymore, or I can't swim anymore. What am I going to do?
Okay, listen, here comes the pet talk.
Here
Pet
we go.
talk 2.0. I think, I genuinely do think that you are the maker of your destiny, or whatever it's called, and I'm going to elaborate on that. Of course, there's a lot of factors, obviously, that, you know, play into this and that can change things, but it doesn't mean that, or let me call it another way, you have to be flexible. What I mean by that is, even though you have that one goal, sure, it might not work out. There's a lot of reasons why it wouldn't, and you know, that's okay. But what being kind of the maker of your own destiny is that being able to pivot and just change your goals. And the thing is, like, you chose to be, or like you wanted to be a athlete or a footballer when you were such a small kid, and you just didn't know what was going to happen in life, and that's absolutely fine. Like, I wanted to be a journalist. I then went on to being almost expelled from school, then decided not to go to uni at all because I wanted to come to London for sure, wait on tables, didn't care about education. Then I did go to uni, studied English for 6 months, fucking hated it, dropped out.
Didn't wait tables.
I was never a waitress actually, but I do know how to pour a beer, so that's, you know,
Debatable.
just a shameless plug.
If there's any pubs out there that are hiring, get in touch.
Exactly. I'll do it for free as long as I can drink. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to uni, and guess what I was studying? Journalism. And you know what I'm doing now? Nothing of sorts. Yeah, I wanted to be a journalist. We idealized these things so much. Like, I thought that I was gonna work in New York City. I'm gonna work for, what was it, the New York Times, and I'm gonna be a journalist, and it's gonna be like bloody Devil Wears Prada, you know what I mean?
No, you're completely down a different road.
I'm completely somewhere else, and I'm so much more happy. Like, if I would be now a journalist, I would hate myself. Sorry to all the journalists out there. It's just not for me.
She's calling you out.
Yeah, it's just not
Box
for me at all.
office, I can see it now. Madison Square Garden, journalist Royal Rumble with Petra.
Exactly. No, but it's just not for me at all.
As everyone knows, whether it's going to the pub, whether it's going wherever with your friends or socialising, it often involves a drink. And one drink always leads to another. You never go out for one drink. It's
Might as well not go.
Yeah, it just doesn't exist. So we've tried to recently see how not drinking for a month could benefit us in terms of, can I go out and socialise in that situation and not drink about 5 pints or whatever it is, And so far, so good. We're less tired. We are less depressed.
It's a
Less
big thing.
anxious. We don't spend 3 days after a session going.
Because it's not even a session, is it? It's just like 2-3 beers. If I would have had a drink yesterday, or 2 or 3 as we normally do, and then come home, I was gonna probably just eat some junk food, and then you wake up the next day and you're just kind of like lethargic.
I also think you've got a less negative outlook on the coming week.
Yeah.
So normally, when it gets that time on Sunday and you're like, oh God, I got work tomorrow. I think when you don't drink, which enhances those negative thoughts and that sort of depressive state, I think it's a lot more of a positive outlook, I find, or I've found so far as we've done this.
Because you know what, I think the two of us are, at least, well, I know I am, I'm kind of planning to do stuff over the weekend, and when the week is going well, I'm just like, on the weekend I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go to a spin class, I'm gonna do this and this and this, and then if I drink, I tend to spend the day in bed, which means that all of these things I wanted to do get postponed again, or I don't do them, and then I'm angry at myself that I didn't do them, or because they got postponed. Like, you can really see my mental state on my inbox, in a sense of like, when I am avoiding things, I'm not opening emails because I just don't want to deal with them. And you then go with this into the new week of just like never really having a time off, not even just like physically, but mentally, in a sense of like, over the weekend you were busy socializing out, hating yourself because you drank too much again. And then you go into the new week of knowing that you're not going to have time to finish all those things you wanted to and needed to finish over the weekend anyway. So you're waiting for the next weekend to finish them, but you're going to do it again. You're going to go out again, and then it gets postponed again. Yeah. And then it's just a lot of anxiety. I think it's really anxiety inducing.
I think as well, in the future, what I'm looking to gain from this is, and it probably comes under social pressure, is to be able to go out, have fun, and not have 5 pints, have maybe 1 or 2, and in between have soft drinks, and you don't wake up the next day feeling like Gandhi's flip-flop or someone's foot.
It just brings out the side of me that I don't like. So I genuinely say I just don't like myself. Not even drunk, just tipsy. I just do not like myself that way. Because when I'm sober, I can catch myself being just like, wait, let's just keep that to ourselves. We don't have to say that. But when I'm drunk, it just comes out, and I just don't like that. And for me, the feeling
less
of just...
filter.
Yeah, and then the next day I'm just like, oh God, I shouldn't. And it's not bad things. Like, I'm not embarrassing myself. Some conversations are better to have sober, and I just do not like myself drunk currently.
And something you said after football yesterday was, I enjoyed that more than I thought, because usually when I'm tipsy,
I was less irritable.
Yes,
I think
that's what I was. Yeah.
Even yesterday, toxic masculinity came out when there was a guy probably on his
a stag do.
A stag do, that's
in
the
his
one.
Pink tutu.
And exactly. But he had a pink tutu, and then these guys next to us were just like calling him out for wearing pink. And I think these things just, when I'm tipsy, piss me off way more than when I'm sober, because I can just control myself. Because I think it is in me, it pisses me off, and it does, and I would like to call it out. But when I'm sober, I'm just like, it's not worth it, it's fine.
Yeah.
But when I drink, I'm just kind of
you
like...
You need to let it slide, and Petra doesn't.
I don't know. But even when I'm not drunk, but at the same time, I can choose my battles better when I'm sober. And that's why I think we do get into arguments way more when we drink. But yeah, that's another story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's we've probably overindulged a lot about ourselves.
Listen, if I don't overshare, I don't know who I am.
So at the end of every episode, I think we're gonna finish off with a PR Petra Rabelais Easter egg.
Yeah.
A bit of wisdom from Petra.
Ooh, no pressure.
Where of course, which is why our podcast is named what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Petra, the floor's yours.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something, and that's going to be this one piece of advice that's going to help. Well, hopefully it's going to help. Is just, majority of the time, we try to prepare for 100% of issues that could come, right? If you're a perfectionist, even more so. You prepare for everything. Everything is anxiety inducing. You kind of have this urge to just predict all of the things that could happen, even more so the negative ones, And you know what? Guess what? 99% of it never fucking happens. So you spend weeks, if not months, preparing for something that will never happen. You probably just like catastrophize everything in your mind. And then it happens and you're like, oh, not half as bad. And this is why you need to stay flexible. You know, if it does happen, you're going to pivot. It's fine. Is it the end of it? Are you dying? I didn't think so. So you're fine. If you need to write down things like, what is the worst that could happen? You write it down. Do you have a solution? Yes, I do. Is it the end of the world? No, it's not. Move on. It's
We go
fine.
again. We move.
We go again. We move.
Join us next week where we'll have some more mental health nuggets to talk about.
Yeah, there's going to be a proper topic next time.
Yes, there will be.
Yeah. Bye.
Peace out, homies.